Hey everybody, Samwise here, and this week's video is about mindful and respectful harvesting. Look who's joining us, it's a tiny tiger. That's Meow Meow, aka Artemis, aka Artemis Chamomile Longbody Minkin Raritan, who's hanging out. And yeah, I want to approach this topic of harvesting and or wildcrafting as a mindfulness practice, and considering especially our social positions when we're approaching the idea of wildcrafting or harvesting, and also our location and our relationship to the land where we're at. So today I am considering and sitting with the idea of harvesting some of these sweet little violets. They're right here, out of our overgrown lawn and where the house where we're renting. And yeah, there's a lot of considerations that I encourage folks to think through and that I think through when I'm thinking about harvesting from something that I'm like not growing intentionally, like in a garden, which still has a lot of mindfulness involved, of course. But yeah, just thinking about my social position as a settler on these lands. For folks who don't know, I'm of like Germanic, Celtic, and Lebanese descent, and yeah, these are the lands of the Osage, the Shawnee, the Adina, the Hopewell, otherwise known as the Ofo and Mesopilia. And yeah, I'm still really new to this region in what's colonially known as southeastern Ohio. So in a lot of ways, I'm very hesitant to harvest from here because I'm still getting to know the plants, the region, and figuring out how to be in right relationship to the peoples of this land, which, yeah, this region is a lush and beautiful region with crazy biodiversity and lots of waters, like good water. And Cincinnati in particular used to be a meeting place for lots of indigenous communities because of the way the rivers are. So people are, it was, kind of a hub, which Jerry Neary of the Greater Cincinnati Native American Coalition let me know about. And yeah, all those communities got forcibly removed through violence to other places, and that grief is here in the land. And so I just kind of want to honor that and be with that, especially as I approach the plant beings of this place. And yeah, also considering some ideas about wildcrafting in general, which many of my teachers and colleagues are rethinking ideas about wildcrafting and foraging in lands that they don't tend on a regular basis, because there's something kind of inherently colonial about considering plants that grow in the wild as free, when in fact, that's not so, in the sense that, everything is already in relationship with everything else. And so we don't often, as someone in my social position, we don't often know those relationships if we're just kind of wandering in and being like, oh my god, morels. Here's a loud car. Oh no, that's too close to the street. She's okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of folks who are saying to really avoid wildcrafting and in a position where you can't ask permission of the original peoples of that land. And of course this is different across different social positions, right? I'm kind of speaking from my position as a white settler, and folks across different social positions have had lots of different access and need to access free foods. Especially I'm thinking about the amazing work of the Black Forager and all the amazing work that she does through her education work. And that's, you know, so that's different for someone of like Black ancestries that's has a different relationship with the land because of slavery and relationships of force and need. So so maybe, you know, the invitation is in the mindfulness, like meditation practice for this month is to spend some time considering kind of what your relationships are to the land where you are considering harvesting, between your social location and the histories there, how people in your lineages may have access to land or wealth, how that may have been passed on to you, and how, you know, that can affect the way that we are in relationship or regard the land and the peoples here. So there's lots of great alternatives to wildcrafting. One of them is growing them in your garden, which we're working on. Another one is to source plants and herbs from organic growers in your region. That's a fun Google search to figure out who's growing what around here and who's doing so in like an ethical way. And of course, there's lots of different like exceptions and situations, and you know, I can't possibly cover them all in this video, but it's just something to kind of sit with and think through. And then if you decide, okay, yes, you know, here I am in this land with all these complexities, and there's these sweet little violets that are gonna get mowed down anyways. You know, is it okay for me to ask the plant if it's okay for me to harvest? So that's another consideration of mindfulness that does ask of us as well to get quiet and like listen to our inner voices of you know, our intuition of like hearing the plant's yes or no, or maybe, which I usually interpret as a no. It's wise to, and good practice, right, in practicing reciprocity and respect, to give an offering before harvesting. And sometimes when we're really excited, it can be hard to slow down and be like, ugh, and then you're like harvesting, you're like, oh shit, I forgot to give an offering. So that's part of the practice, is to slow down. In fact, sometimes, you know, different teachers, I'm thinking of the wildcrafting episode on Herbal Highway from Karyn Sanders, who's teaching from an Indigenous perspective. You slow way down and you actually spend years tending a stand of plants before harvesting. So you're giving to before you're taking. And that's a beautiful, beautiful way to do it and to consider it. And so, you know, doing what we can, in an ethical way, we can slow down and ask what we can give. So there's plenty of water where I am, so I'm not going to give an offering of water, but I am going to sing a song for these plants and for you. And the song was taught to me by my friend Emily Inman, who was a vision of beauty and creativity, and it goes like this. Now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above and below me. Now I walk in beauty, beauty is before me, beauty is behind me, above and below me. As I sing that, I'm singing that to all these sweet violets. I'm singing it to all the sweet plant beings. I'm singing it to this tiny tiger who is stalking something in the grass. And really appreciating that I'm really wrapped in beauty here and giving that offering of gratitude. And so then another important practice is to ask consent of the plant. So literally, like, may I harvest from you? My name is Samwise. I have Germanic, Celtic, Lebanese lineages. I seek to make some medicine and some like joyous violet elixir from the blossoms that help us remember this beautiful time of spring. May I harvest from you? and then I listen. And if I get a resonant like, yes, child, you may harvest, then I go ahead. And if I don't get that kind of resonant yes, then I don't. And I listen to that. And that does take some slowing down to be able to catch that. And so I did get a yes, child. So yeah, I'm going to harvest not too close to the roads where all the dogs like to pee, but kind of I'm like up on a little berm. So I'm going to harvest a couple of those before they get mowed, and then, yeah, hopefully make another little batch of elixir, liqueur, to put in our tasty drinks. But, yeah, there's more here. There's more to say. I encourage folks to leave a comment, to ask questions. Oh, Meow's crossing the street, and she should not. And, yeah, I encourage mindful, thoughtful, slow down explorations of harvesting in your region. Even if you're harvesting from your garden, it's always a nice practice to ask permission as well. So with that, happy relationship building, and I'll see you next time.